In today's brief video, I want to take a moment and talk to you guys about relapsing on weed around the holidays. For a lot of people, they're going to be celebrating Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, various holidays throughout the months of December and January, and this is a very common time when relapse occurs. If you're new to the channel, be sure to check out the pinned comment, the link in the profile, or the video description for more paid and free resources when it comes to quitting smoking weed through our Addiction Mindset programs. Around the holidays, I think there's two primary reasons why a person is going to relapse. The first reason is the mindset of celebration. So this is the idea that, hey, it's Christmas time. I'm just going to smoke some weed to celebrate with my friends or my family. And if you're currently in the process of quitting and you have a few days of your quit under your belt or sobriety under your belt, I want you to reframe what it means to celebrate. And you have to ask yourself, what is a celebration? Well, celebration typically occurs after we have accomplished something good, after we have completed something successfully. And when it comes to quitting smoking weed, there really is no end to this journey, right? Quitting smoking weed is kind of a lifelong thing. You make the commitment to quit, and you're never going to smoke again, come hell or high water. So this isn't like a race or a marathon where there's a clear-cut finish line. So that would be the first thing. What is it that you're getting so excited to celebrate when it comes to quitting smoking weed? Because this is an ongoing process and an ongoing journey. Granted, quitting ends the day you decide to quit. Like that's the day you should celebrate. Going forward, there's no need for continued celebration. That would be the first thing I'd say. The second thing on celebration would be is when you celebrate, the intention is to feel good. A celebration is usually something that brings joy. And if you've been struggling with weed addiction and it's been, eating up your finances, ruining your health mentally and physically, ruining your relationships, ruining your social life, where is the celebration in partaking in that behavior? If I accomplish something good at my job or within my career, or if I'm celebrating someone, a loved one's birthday, I wouldn't go celebrate by destroying myself. I wouldn't go celebrate by harming myself. I might go out for a nice dinner. I might plan a trip. I might do something that's going to bring me a certain level of joy. And you have to ask yourself, what is the celebration in returning to smoking weed? Because if you've quit or if you're in the process of quitting, there's a good chance that there was a reason why. And that reason is probably rooted in all of the negative things that THC addiction was creating in your life. So that would be the first thing, celebration. Watch out for that. Watch out for the mindset of smoking under the facade of a celebration. Reason number two people typically relapse is because of stress around the holidays, stress and depression. For many people, this is a time where finances are tight. This is a time when they're reminded of family that they don't have in their lives or friends that they no longer have in their lives. And this creates a state of stress and depression. And what I like to remind people of is that by smoking, we're not going to fix the stress and depression. If anything, we're continuing to avoid coping with those negative situations and figuring out real solutions. So next year and the year after that, we can find ourselves in a better situation when it comes to the holidays. Typically, addiction, whether it's weed addiction, alcohol addiction, nicotine addiction, only leads to more stress, right? This addiction might create more physical stress on your body. It might create more financial stress in your life. It might be stress on your mental health. But you have to be crystal clear on the fact that by partaking in cannabis addiction or THC addiction, you are not going to relieve stress. You are only going to amplify it. And if you're new to quitting, what happens when you become more stressed? You start smoking more and more and more. So if you smoke weed during the holidays because you're trying to cope with stress, you're reinforcing the idea, you're reinforcing that addicted voice that weed is good for stress, that weed helps stress. And you're now locking into a perceived benefit of cannabis use, which is going to make quitting significantly harder than it has to be. Not only that, but by smoking, we're now preventing ourselves from finding actual coping techniques and actual solutions to these stressful or depressing situations. The third thing that I think people run into around holiday time is the change in seasons. So I'm here in New York and it's cold. There's snow on the ground. I'm not outside soaking up the sun. I'm not outside swimming. I'm not outside golfing. And this change in seasons can be a very, very hard thing. I certainly know it was for me, especially if we talk about seasonal depression. And I'm going to explain why I'm putting that in quotation marks in a moment. When it came to the season changes, when I was newly sober, newly quitting weed, I found it very, very challenging because now a lot of the activities that I was partaking in to keep myself busy, to keep myself happy, are no longer an option. And winter time for me historically was a time to get stoned, watch Netflix, and stay cooped up in my house. Since quitting, arguably, I have cured my own seasonal depression because winter would hit. I would immediately dive into this rut and I would start drinking more. I would start smoking more. I would start consuming more nicotine, consuming more media content, right? And then I'd be like, oh, I'm depressed because of seasonal depression. Well, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe my addicted voice was taking advantage of the season change, driving me further and further into my addiction, which was then making me more and more depressed. And then I go to the doctor, I'm depressed, and they say, well, yeah, you have seasonal depression. Never once did they ask about, hey, how much are you drinking? How much are you smoking? What are you doing to stay healthy during the winter? Once I quit smoking weed and that seasonal depression began to lift, for the most part, I realized that there was a host of different things that I could be doing. Snowshoeing, recently taking up skiing again. I want to try and do an outdoor cold plunge this year. I've come to enjoy walks outside during the winter months. You can go do a community service. Occasionally I'll do that during this time of the year. Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the service and shelter places are in need of help. There's a million things that you could probably be doing to deal with the change in season. But if you continually lean onto smoking weed, you're preventing yourself from discovering all of the other opportunities that are out there for you to partake in when the season changes occur. I used to think the season change was the reason for my addiction, was the reason for my depression. But it was the other way around. My addiction was the reason I was depressed and at a loss during the seasonal changes, fall, spring, winter, and summer. And acknowledging that was a huge, huge step in my sobriety process. Now, with that being said, the last point I want to make is this. If you're at a holiday party or you're struggling with the season changes and you're newly sober, you're struggling to quit, there's a reason why they refer to things as addiction rehabilitation, addiction rehab, addiction recovery. Learning how to navigate that family party, learning how to navigate that stressful work event, learning how to navigate the stressful season changes. This is part of recovery. Learning how to enjoy winter, learning how to truly enjoy being there with family members or friends without the use of alcohol, without the use of weed. This is rehab. This is rehabilitation. The same way someone learns to walk upstairs again after they broke their leg, or the same way someone learns how to talk again if they've had a stroke. This is rehabilitation. And when we find ourselves in new scenarios and different circumstances, it's not unreasonable to expect that there's going to be some degree of a challenge with it. If you need extra support during the holiday season, I would encourage you to check out the link in my profile, the pinned comment, or the video description, and consider joining our Addiction Mindset accountability community. It's $4.97 a month. You're going to find a whole world of supportive people in there when it comes to quitting, and we go live 4 times a month in small group sessions. You could also look into our Living Weed Free in 2023 paid programs, which is going to be a super, super detailed program on quitting smoking weed and then using the money that you've saved to invest and create a better financial future for yourself. Again, that's the Living Weed Free in 2023 program. So check those things out. And if you don't want to do that, just follow me right into the next video where I talk about weed, stress, and anxiety. I'll see you guys in one of those spots.